Welcome, my viewers. This is a short tutorial on the metasploit framework. So, what is metasploit? Metasploit is essentially a series of security tools like mmap. You can think about it as a toolbox that contains the most popular penetration testing tools, and it is a popular penetration testing framework used by hackers and security professionals alike because it is very easy to use Metasploit to conduct system checks and also explore system vulnerabilities in a variety of platforms. And so in this tutorial, we will do a few things. First, we will set up the environment which we will run Metasploit in, which is hopefully your host machine. And we will also be installing a virtual machine which will serve as our target machine for the examples that we will be doing to demonstrate the capabilities of the Metasploit framework. And we are also going to learn some basic commands on how to use this tutorial. And so while Metasploit being a really powerful and versatile tool, it is your responsibility to use it wisely. Make sure you have permission to conduct exploits in the environment or server or network, or you own this piece of infrastructure. And do not attempt to access unauthorized systems and networks. The authors, which is us, we will not be liable for any damage you cause. So with power comes responsibility. And for more information on cybercrime, you can visit the revised statutes in your state/territory. If you reside in Missouri, the link on the screen is a section on cybercrime and its implications. And so now we will start to get into how to install the Metasploit framework and setting up the environment. In this section, we will be going through on how to install the Metasploit framework and to install the Metasploitable virtual machine on our host device. So for the purpose of this demonstration, we will be using macOS as our host environment, and our virtual machine would be using VirtualBox as our virtualization software. So first of all, let's install the Metasploit framework. And to install, please visit this link over here, or simply by Google searching installing the Metasploit framework. And the installation instructions are similar for Windows and Linux, but here we are doing macOS. So first of all, we need to open the terminal, and then we need to copy the installation script, which is this, by using this button here, and then we need to paste into our terminal and then execute the command. It is going to ask for a password, so please type in the password, and then it is going to take some time to install depending on your internet speed. So your terminal should look like this when Metasploit framework has finished installing and has successfully installed. It should say that the install was successful, and the command prompt should prompt you to enter a new command. So this is installing the Metasploit framework. We can simply verify that the installation has been successful by running the msf console command. And now the Metasploit framework is starting up. So this is to verify that the Metasploit framework has been correctly installed and up and running. So our first step is done. As you can see, it prompts us to enter something. And now we need to install the Metasploitable VM. We would be needing VirtualBox, and we would also need the Metasploitable VMDX image. And so you would find the Metasploitable VM image in these two links. So any link is fine. The provided files are basically the same. So for your convenience, we have downloaded the file already, and the following steps are under the assumption that the VM file has been downloaded and VirtualBox has been installed and functioning well. And so now let's open up VirtualBox. And in the manager page, we would like to create a new virtual machine. We can name this, for the purpose of this one, we will name it metasploit. And we will not select an ISO image. For the type, we will change it to Linux. And since this virtual machine is based on Ubuntu, we're going to select Ubuntu 64-bit. And for the next step, anything for the base memory that's greater than 2 gigabytes is fine. We will keep it as 2 gigabytes for this one. And then processors, everything from 1 to 4, depending on your computer configuration, you can set it liberally. We will keep this at 2 for this purpose. And then this is where the downloaded VMDX file comes into play. So you would select the second option, use existing virtual hard disk file, and then you would add the VMDX file that we have downloaded before, which in my case is in the downloads folder and under the folder called Metasploit 2 Linux. And we would look for the VMDK file, select open, select choose, and that's going to use the existing virtual hard disk file, which is pre-configured for us. And then press finish. So we would have our virtual machine here. And now there are a few settings to adjust. So click on the gear icon. It's going to bring us to the settings page. Then click on display. Set the video memory to 128 megabytes and set the scale factor to 200%. This would enlarge the command prompt that's going to show when we launch our virtual machine and making it easier to see. And for the network, it is possible to use both NAPT and bridged adapter version. If one does not work, we can always switch to the other, but in my experience, I found that for my machine, the bridged adapter has worked the best, and so we're going to choose that for this case. And so now we have already set up the Metasploitable VM, and to verify that everything's working correctly, we can go ahead and start it. And so now our virtual machine has successfully started. The password and login for this machine is msfadmin, which is also typed out in the virtual machine prompt itself. So now let's try to log in with the given passwords. And as you can see, we have successfully logged in, and so this section is complete. In the next section, we will go through some basic commands and eventually some examples on the Metasploit framework. In this section, we will demonstrate the scanning capabilities of the Metasploit framework. Scanning is quite an important part when conducting an exploit. Scanning reveals the open pointer of the target machine and opens attack surfaces. So in this example, we will use the mmap component in the Metasploit framework to scan open ports on our target machine, which is our Metasploitable VM machine here. And as you can see here, we have started up the MSF console, which is the Metasploit command line over here on the bottom left corner. And in the middle, the big screen is our target virtual machine. And so before you continue, please verify that you have started both of these services. If not, go ahead and start them. And before starting to scan all the open ports on our target machine, we must know the IP address of the target machine. So now we have direct access to the target machine. We can simply type in ifconfig, and if you look at the inet address field in the Ethernet 0 field, you would look at the IP address 192.168.1.25. This is our target IP address. If you own a network like me, you can also go to the routers or your AP's wireless management interface to look at the IP address of your target machine. So in this case, this is the interface of my router, and we can see here that number 4 device is our metasploitable virtual machine, and it has the same IP address than what we have when we typed ifconfig. And so now that we know that our IP address is this address, we can start scanning. And so in Metasploit, the base unit of these tools are called modules. And there are 7 kinds of modules. They're listed here in the sticky note. And there are auxiliary modules, encoders, evasions, exploits, maps, and post. And all of these modules, they have submodules, which are the tools themselves that help do a variety of different functions. So for the purpose of port scanning, we will use the auxiliary modules, which they're not exploits, and they contain scanners. So we will use this. So first of all, let's switch to the MSF console. And then we would want to use the use command. So we would type in use. And then since the scanner is in the auxiliary module, we would also type in auxiliary. And under auxiliary, there is a component called scanner. We would add that too. And then we would want to use the port scan. Finally, the port scan. And we would like to scan for TCP ports in this specific case. And so the common should be like this. After you run this command, your command will initially look like this. And now we would need to set the scan target, because if we do not set the scan target, the program does not know for which target to scan for. And so we use the set command, set our hosts. This is going to be our target, and include our target IP address, which is in this case 192.168.1.25, and your IP address may vary. So after running this, you would see that the Metasploit framework tells that now the rhost value is set to this IP address. And finally, to initiate the scan, we would run the final command, which is run. This runs the command that has been set previously, which in this case is port scan, and we're scanning for TCP ports on this specific host. And so if we run, it is going to output a series of ports that are open on our target machine. And so when it finishes, it will tell you that auxiliary module execution completed. Scan 1 out of 1 hosts, 100% complete. This means that our scan has completed, and we have a list of ports that are open. And so we can also verify that the scan is accurate. So we can switch back to the target machine, and we can also use the netstat command, -tln. So TLN stands for searching for TCP, and it's also searching for a specific port and ports that are open. And so if we run this command, it is going to output a series of ports that is open, and you can see that they correspond to those open ports that is revealed on scan. There are additional ports that are displayed above, and you can scroll up to view them to see if they match. And so this is the section on port scanning. In the next section, we will actually perform and sample exploitation of a known backdoor. In this section, we will conduct an known exploit attack. So we are going to conduct an exploit on the VSFTPD program. It is a file transfer program. I think it stands for Very Secure File Transfer Protocol. It is a file transfer program using the FTP protocol. And the backdoor was installed onto this specific program in version 2.3.4, which happens to be installed on our target machine here. And this specific backdoor was installed in mid-2011, allowing attackers to gain access to the root shell by sending in a specific username and smiley face as the password. And it was patched later that year, luckily. So in this case, we will use metasploit to um, attack this vulnerability using an existing attack module. So before we continue, please make sure that the metasploit components, the framework, and the target machine are both running. So we have already known that the specific exploit is named VSFTBD, and it is for version 2.3.4. And Metasploit happens to have a specific exploit for this. And so we will use the search command to search for a corresponding exploit for this program. So if we type in search VSFTP, it is going to show us all the modules that have anything to do or they contain the word VSFTP. So in our case, there are two items. The first item is a auxiliary module under the DOS FTP VSFTPD underscore 232. That is not what we want because it belongs to the auxiliary module, which means it's not an exploit. The second one is what we want because it belongs to the exploit module and it belongs to the Unix/FTP class, and it is a VSFTP 2.3.4 backdoor. And here, the search command also tells you when these vulnerabilities are found. So in this case, our backdoor will be found in early July. And the rank tells us what are the chances of this tool succeeding. So for this one, the chance would be excellent. And it also shows up more telemetry information for our viewing. And so our next step is to utilize this specific exploit. So to use the exploit, we will use the use command. And so we would type in the exact same name as per the search function. So exploit /Unix/FTP/VSFTPD 234 backdoor. And so now, after we use the use command, the Metasploit framework would know which exploit to use because we were in the last section using the auxiliary commands, but now we are using the exploit modules. And because we are not configuring a payload, there is no payload, and it is directly set to the default payload. And now, normally we would run the exploit command to attack the target machine. And so let's do it. So we would use the exploit command and type enter. Right, so what has happened here is that, it's telling us that one or more options failed to validate, and one of them was our host. So if we think about section 1, which is the last section when we talked about the port scanning, we have to set what the target machine or the target IP is, right? So we forgot to set this here. So we would use the set command once again to tell Metasploit that we are attacking this specific machine. And so we use the set command once again. And now if we run the exploit command, it should attack. So this is the attack done when it has said it's found the shell. And there is a command shell session that's been opened that is tunneled from the target machine to our host machine, which is our attacker. And so we can verify this to see if this exploit has succeeded or not by running the command. It's a Unix command called who am I. So it would tell us that we are root, which means that we have gained the reverse shell. And we would also like to verify that it is the actual machine that the target machine that we are exploiting. So we would type ifconfig into the shell, and here it would show us under the inet address, under the Ethernet 0 field, that it is indeed the same IP address as our the machine that's being attacked at our target machine. So here we can verify that the exploit has been successful. And once the attacker gains, we gain the reverse shell ability, we can do anything basically with the target machine. And so this is the end of this section. So in this tutorial, as a wrap up, we went through how to install and set up the environment where to run the metasploit attack framework and the target virtual machine. And we also explored some basic commands including set, use, run, and exploit. And we also went through two examples. One of them was using the port scan module in the auxiliary modules, and the other one was to exploit a known backdoor via the exploits module. Thank you for watching, and this is the end of this tutorial.